What is hegemonic slaughter? Once the Russia-Ukraine and Palestine-Israel issues start, let alone two wars, even two aids can't be carried out at the same time. Before the United States, 300,000 shells were moved from Israel to Ukraine. Moved back to Israel from Ukraine has sufficient evidence of American threat. It's not a super invincible missile that can conquer the world. Its resources are limited. His energy is limited, and so is the strategic direction he can care about. If you continue to bear these obligations in an infinite way, take on these own responsibilities. If you keep acting as the world's police, one day you will drown in the deep pit you have dug for yourself. Thank you. It's a self-defeating America, not an America against America. It's a so-called self-defeating hegemony, the collapsed hegemony. The current collapse of hegemony is actually very subtle. What does it mean to be very subtle? It's hugely ironic and very worth teaching. Just study and experience seriously. Everyone's biggest criticism of the United States and Israel in this process. Returning to the resignation letter mentioned at the beginning, you have violated the basic principles of humanitarianism. What is the moral basis of this principle of humanitarianism you use for? Before we knew that, for a while, the hegemony of the United States was called a benign hegemony, a manifestation of conscience, a benevolent hegemony. Americans flaunt their soft power. Thank you, values, behavior standards. Now, what is the historical characteristic of this value and behavioral standard in the United States? That includes some people's simple, rightful, necessary longing for a better life. The same common pursuit is not actually monopolized by a few countries. Everyone thinks so, so everyone is willing to accept and recognize. Now you've violated all of this in the public eye. So you, the United States and your Western countries, have stripped off this coat of human rights in your own way. And the way of stripping is quite crude. How beautiful, whether it's for TikTok or Metas, whether it's the European Union or the United States, content cleanup is necessary. Request to delete the content of Palestine or label it with the content of deleting anti-Semitism. I said, anti-Semitism, racism is indiscriminate, unreasonably attacking Jews, stigmatize Jews as a separate entity, even inciting the so-called genocide of Jews that has occurred in history is certainly wrong. Of course this is wrong, but if you abuse this, you interpret it as not being able to criticize the inhuman behavior of the defense forces in the Gaza Strip, and you are anti-Semitic. This is a kind of blasphemy. This is a kind of abuse. This converts the historical memory of the Holocaust and the suffering of the Israeli people into your arbitrary actions. Support. This kind of wrong practice will be settled by history. We call it historical reckoning, which means anyone who has made such a mistake, like the Netanyahu government in Israel, it will be remembered in history in the future. For Israel, for the people of Israel, you either correct it.
Do not correct.
Don't call it then. It seems like you've been wronged. You didn't do anything, but the reckoning came to you. You witnessed this action, but you didn't take your action. I remember one important step in reflecting on the Holocaust after World War II. It's about reflecting on what ordinary Germans did during the Nazi genocide of Jews. Someone even wrote a book called something like Ordinary Germans in the Concentration Camp Execution Squad. When these people retired from concentration camp guards, after taking off the outfit with the double lightning and skull logo, he might be a father. A kind father has a good relationship with his child. He might be a regular sedan. He might be a small shop assistant. The result is this. I remember this should be Hannah Arendt and her group raised in the issue of the Holocaust. It could be Hannah Arendt's people who integrated these ordinary people into a machine as to how Nazi Germany did it. It is about modernity and mass slaughters. A crucial part in theoretical construction is how an ordinary person, a real and heartfelt common man, turns into a killing machine. How it became a crucial part of the industrial killing machine